his life, when will he be as he was?
When the sun rises in the west, sets in the east. When the seas go dry, when the mountains blow in the wind like leaves.
Burn them all! Burn them all!
Do you have a name?
This one's name is Missandei, Your Grace.
Burn them all!
You know that I'm taking you to war. You may go hungry. You may fall sick. You may be killed.
Burn them all!
Valar Morghulis.
Yes, all men must die. But we are not men.
Burn them all!
Dracarys! Dracarys!
Burn them all!
Dracarys!
Burn them all!
Dracarys!
What's the deal, my people? Teflon in the building with another Game of Thrones Season 8 theory video. And now that Daenerys Targaryen is the Queen of Ashes, only one thing remains, and that is how it will end for her. But before we talk about that, if you can, please hit that thumbs up button. We're trying to get 500 likes within 24 hours to trigger the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new Game of Thrones theory video. We are almost 50,000 strong, people, so make sure you subscribe because I know we can get there. Help a brother out. Many people say that Daenerys Targaryen was not justified in her actions and that she just became the Mad Queen, but Don does not agree with that statement because there's only so much a person can take. When you push somebody close to the edge, this is what happens eventually. And I can't stand people who like to test people, who like to try people, who like to get under people's skins, and then that person flips out and they're like, why did they do it? Why is this going on? You know exactly why it's going on, because this is what you caused and you reap what you sow. When you go out of your way to take away everything a person has in their life, then you can cry me a river, because I do not give a fuck about nothing that happens to you or your family or your friends. You done brought all that on them by your actions, so just man up and take it. And I truly wish Daenerys Targaryen would rule over what's left of this city, but this is a TV show. They are not going to allow her to do so. So now we have to look at how it's going to end for Dany. And I think it's going to be a little bit of the book and a little bit of the show. I think they're going to take things from the book and then adjust them for the show. And that is the Nyssa prophecy. Now when we look at the Nyssa prophecy and Azor Ahai, what happened was, when darkness laid heavy on the world, a hero, Azor Ahai, was chosen to fight against it. And to fight this darkness, Azor Ahai needed to forge a hero sword. He labored for 30 days and 30 nights until it was done. However, when he tempered the sword into water, it broke. Now he was not one to give up so easy. So the second time he did it, he took 50 days and 50 nights to make the sword even better. And then he tried to temper it by driving it into a lion's heart. But once again, the steel shattered. Now the third time, with a heavy heart, he knew exactly what had to be done. He worked on this blade for 100 days and 100 nights. And when it was finished, he called for his wife, Nyssa, and asked her to bare her breast. And then he drove his sword into her living heart. And by doing this, combined her soul with the steel, it made the red sword of heroes, Lightbringer. And I am 100% sure that this is exactly what will happen in the show, but the hero will be Jon Snow and Nyssa will be Daenerys Targaryen. Now, the Long Night has already been defeated, and the directors of the show chose to go a different route and have Arya defeat the Night King. So he will not be making his sword in order to defeat the Long Night. He will be making his sword in order to defeat Daenerys Targaryen. And it won't be a making of the sword, it will basically be him just stabbing and killing Daenerys Targaryen. And this all goes back to Daenerys' visions in the House of the Undying. And we can see this by her last and final vision that she was given. And it says, 3 treasons will you know, once for blood, once for gold, and once for love. The one for blood was the one for Khal Drogo that Mirri Maz committed against her, killed her child, and then killed Khal Drogo. The ones for gold was the one that Ser Jorah Mormont committed against her when he wanted the pardon from Robert Baratheon.
Where are the dragons?
Will you betray her again, Jorah the Undull? Will you betray her again?
Never.
And the one for love is the one that Jon Snow was about to commit against her and kill her in the end.
Jon Snow.
Daenerys.
You learned from Sansa. And she learned from Jon, though I begged him not to tell her. As I said, he betrayed me.
And if you're a fan of my channel, then you know that I'm not just saying this now, but I made this theory up over 5 years ago using Daenerys Targaryen's dragon dream. And it goes like this. There was only her and the dragon. Its scales were black as night, wet and slick with blood. Her blood, Dany sensed. Its eyes were pools of molten magma, and when it opened its mouth, the flame came roaring out in a hot jet. She could hear it singing to her. She opened her arms to the fire, embraced it, and let it swallow her whole, and let it cleanse her and temper her, and scorn her clean. She could feel her flesh sear and blacken and sour away, could feel her blood boil and turn to steam, and yet there was no pain. She felt stronger, new, and fierce. And that is Jon Snow forging Lightbringer. That is the fire that is inside of her. That's why she is being combined with the sword. That's why she feels new, stronger, and fierce. The reference to singing is twofold. Number one, this is the Song of Ice and Fire. Number two, Rhaegar liked to sing, which is another hint that this is Rhaegar's son as the dragon. But they are not going the route of Jon forging the sword, using her as Nissa to fight the long night. They're just going to go the route of Jon killing her and adapt it that way for the show. Now, by this time, Dany is without a doubt the queen of Westeros, right? We've seen her burn down the Lancers. She's going to seize the Iron Throne, so she will be the queen of Westeros. And Jon will have just committed treason by killing the queen. Now, how will this work out for Jon? How will he not be able to go to jail or be beheaded for this? And there's only one way. We have seen it in the show many a times, and that is Jon will have to take the black. And this is foreshadowed in the books with Bloodraven. The same thing just about happened to him. Back in 233 AC, when Bloodraven, Brendan Rivers, was handed a king, he held a council because there was no king and he wanted to deal with that matter. Now, Aenys Blackfyre wanted to come along peacefully and participate in this council. Bloodraven granted him safe passage, but when he arrived, Bloodraven had him bagged up by the gold cloaks and eventually beheaded. When the new king was picked, King Aegon V Targaryen, his first act was to arrest Bloodraven for the murder of Aenys. And at this time, Bloodraven said that he gave up his honor in sake of the realm. And after Aemon Targaryen talked to the king, they did not kill Bloodraven, but they allowed him to take the black and join the Night's Watch for his crime. And I think that this is the exact same thing that will happen to Jon Snow. He will be allowed to join the black or take the black, making him the 999th and the 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. But then you have to ask yourself, how would this happen? Who would be the new king that would allow him to go up there? And it's only a couple of candidates that are left. It would have to be someone who cares enough about Jon and not that much about Daenerys to allow him to go up there. And there's only a couple of candidates left here. You'd have to have the right bloodline to be king. Sir Davos doesn't, so he would have to be out, even though he would be someone who would definitely do that for Jon. Tyrion, there's no way that's going to happen with him. They just had a Lannister on the throne, and they're not going to go back to that. So that just leaves the Starks. Arya, Sansa, Bran. Arya, I would have to say, is completely out. There's no way she could be queen. But Sansa is a good possibility, and Gendry is also a good possibility. If they marry each other, I think they would give Jon the pass. But you tell me in the comment section what you think. Will this play out exactly the way I predicted over 5 years ago, or do you have another way for it to play out? Let me know in the comment section. And as always, peace and stay sexy.